Hello, my name is Icy Sedgwick, and for those of you who don't know me, I write weird fiction, shall we put it that way. I'm also studying for a PhD in horror films, which is why I was so excited about this year's festive offering, Krampus. I've known about Krampus as a figure for quite a while now, and wrote a blog post about it last week, which I'll put a link down below. But yeah, so how exactly would a film about essentially the anti-Santa work? Well, as you might imagine, it tells the story of an American family, and a bit like the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where obviously relatives come to stay. Nobody really gets on with each other, everybody's stressed, it's all really quite unpleasant, essentially. The young son, Max, has written a letter to Santa, basically wanting a nicer Christmas for his family, but after a couple of incidents over dinner, he ends up retracting that wish with fairly dire consequences. It is a horror film. It has a lot of links to the survival horror genre. People keep splitting up, getting picked off one by one. People do say "I'll be right back," which anyone who's ever seen Scream, you know that's just not something that you do. But yeah, so how exactly does Krampus fit into all of this? He basically turns up to punish this family for not having any Christmas spirit, like, at all. And the only one who really knows what's going on is the German grandmother, because Krampus is a German figure. And they don't really listen to her, they don't really believe her, anything like that. It is only a 15, so it's not as gory as some people let make you think it was. In fact, I would say it's not really very gory at all, not compared to some recent offerings. But yeah, there's all kinds of weird stuff goes on. I mean, there's a murderous teddy bear. There are really creepy little gingerbread men who are like Krampus's minions. And when the elves turned up, I did kind of think, oh my god, it's Lodi. So that was quite interesting. But yeah, I mean, I loved it, I really did. I mean, the characters are all fairly repulsive from the word go, except for Max. Max is really likeable, and you really kind of feel quite sorry for him. But obviously as the film goes on, you do get to like characters or get to root for them in a way. I mean, I was kind of rooting for Toni Collette anyway, because I mean, I've loved her since Muriel's Wedding, but that's just because it's Toni Collette. And once things start getting into the house, and let's be honest, the idea of Santa's a bit weird, that you're actually inviting this complete stranger into your house every year. And Krampus basically takes the invitation that's extended anyway. I mean, we'll ignore the fact that Krampusnacht was the 5th of December, and obviously this all takes place on Christmas Eve. We'll ignore that one for the time being. But it was interesting because it took all the saccharine sweetness of other Christmas films, where it's all about getting home for the holidays and all being a family and all that kind of thing. It took all of that and really exposed the darker side of it, so all the family feuds, the stress, the fighting, all that kind of thing. And the fact that essentially a lot of times at Christmas you end up spending the day with people that you don't know very well, you don't really like them necessarily, all that kind of thing. And the opening sequence is probably the most searing indictment of Christmas commercialism that I've seen since Jingle All the Way, where you've got people fighting with each other and stampeding to get stuff, and it's just a mad scramble to buy something, anything, just so that you've got things to give for Christmas. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not what the season's actually supposed to be about. I went into it with very high hopes, because to me there hasn't been a decent Christmas horror film probably since Gremlins. And I mean, no Christmas film is ever going to be as good as Die Hard, but yeah, this one didn't disappoint. I was a little bit worried it was going to have a happy saccharine kind of ending, but yeah, it was an interesting choice, I think, this year, and I'm quite surprised that it never got made, really. because it's not generally what you'd expect from a Christmas film. But in all fairness, I think it was far more realistic than, you know, something like Elf, which is fairly horrific in its own way, but that's another rant for another time. So basically, in short, if you love survival horror, if you're sick of Christmas films, and quite frankly you'd like to punch Buddy the Elf in the face, then I would very much recommend Krampus. So I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up below, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye now.